And we're going to talk now about something that we've touched on many times in the past year or so here on the programme with the current economic crisis, and that is innovation. There's a fascinating lecture. It's actually the first annual Hyperion Lecture taking place tomorrow, and it's being given by my next guest, who's sitting with me in the studio. Very nice indeed to welcome Emeritus Professor of Chemical Engineering at Massachusetts Institute of Technology and the founder of Aspen Technology. He is Lawrence B. Evans. Larry, a pleasure to meet you. Welcome back to Cyprus. I gather this is your third visit. And can you start by telling us a bit about the Hyperion Lecture?
Sure. Well, Hyperion is a company that was founded here about 20 years ago, and so they're celebrating the 20th anniversary now. And they they work with companies in the chemical process industries and metallurgical companies to deliver software solutions to help them improve their efficiency and increase their profits. And I was partly responsible for the founding of the company. I worked with the founder, Simeon Kassianides, back in 1993 and have followed it ever since. And so I'm very pleased to be here. They've created this lectureship in honor of their 20th anniversary, and I'm glad to be here as part of that.
Now, you're going to be talking about fostering innovation with an impact.
Correct.
Is there too much innovation that doesn't have much impact?
Well, I guess, yes, you can have a lot of good ideas, but we're talking about really innovation that leads to the creation of companies or entrepreneurial ventures that then create jobs and revenue. So really we're talking about innovation that leads to commercial success. And
you're talking, I presume, because you're into chemical engineering and so on, about the science side of things.
Yes. The company, I've been involved in starting two companies. One was Aspen Technology, which was a chemical engineering software company, and started that, grew it to be the largest supplier of software, technical software, to the chemical and petroleum industry today. Stepped down in 2002 and started working for another company as CEO and co-founder, developing a new catalyst for petroleum refining. So my experience is in technical engineering applications. But the things I'm going to be talking about are more general. They apply to any venture and any idea.
Well, of course, here in Cyprus, we're much more a service-based economy than really one that I think would associate with the sciences as such. So how do you think this will fit in and sort of maybe help Cyprus at this very critical juncture, particularly bearing in mind those hydrocarbons?
Right. Well, I think the discovery of hydrocarbons offshore in Cyprus or near Cyprus has sort of changed the game and offers a real opportunity here to develop ventures because you develop ventures whenever there's a need, whenever a customer has a need or you have an idea that you can provide value to a customer. And so this is sort of changes the equation, and now there should be a lot of opportunities to create value in supporting the hydrocarbon industry.
But you've been talking about things like software. Now, I think we're quite good at software development in Cyprus. Again, we're based on these service industries. It's really difficult, isn't it, to know who's going to come up with an idea that is going to work, particularly in a science-based workplace, because you've got to be pretty spot on, haven't you?
Yes, but companies evolve sort of by trial and error. In other words, once they get started, they see new needs, and it's as much about having the people in place as it is about having just sort of the one great idea. And so I think that Cyprus has a number of advantages for entrepreneurial ventures. The Greek culture has always been valued education. It's always valued innovation and ideas. And out of a trading mentality, they were people who figured out a way to bring value, and sort of they're very good at this sort of thing. So I think that the hydrocarbons will be a catalyst to spur things, and there will be a lot of possibilities there.
Of course, Israel has showed us all how it should be done, hasn't it, in the last few years? I mean, how do you assess that huge success of Israel in their startup programs?
Well, I don't know if there are specific government policies that have helped it, but I do know that necessity is the mother of invention, and Israel has been somewhat isolated, and they've had to scramble to to create success where they can, and I think that they also have a culture that very much values education and values hard work, and I think these have all contributed to their ideas. But
presumably, in order to make this hugely successful and to have the impact that you're talking about, it does it, some form of government sponsorship? It certainly will need a streamlining of our model of, for example, registering businesses. That's something we were talking to somebody from the World Bank on the programme last week who said that we really need to get this sorted out because it takes far too long here in Cyprus, and if we're wanting to attract venture capital in here, they're going to want to get their businesses off the ground fast, aren't they?
Right. So I think, streamlining government regulations and procedures will be important. I think another thing that's going to be important is providing some sources of capital. New startup companies need sources of capital, and it's not clear in the current economy to me exactly where that will come from, but that's a challenge to solve. My hope is that the Cyprus will develop some of at MIT what we call the innovation ecosystem. And these are a whole series of things that support entrepreneurs. They range from mentoring companies to help them, advise them as they get started. It ranges from education, teaching new students and people who want to start a company what they need to do. So I believe that creating this ecosystem is the thing I'm going to emphasize in my talk and give a little bit of it. MIT's experience of how we've done that. I'll
interrupt you there. It's very interesting, actually, that you should say that, because it's not so very long ago that I spoke to a group of people who are establishing exactly what you're talking about here in Cyprus.
Yes.
And that is a startup ecosystem.
Yes. And there's a lot to build on here. And so I think already, so that's a big advantage. And I believe that will be, that's what I'm hope to encourage.
And how do you bring the experience that you've got at MIT here? Because, I mean, I think that I read, it says here that more than 25,000 currently active companies founded by students of MIT. That's a huge number. Does MIT specialize in entrepreneurship?
They do, yes, and especially now. When the Institute was founded 150 years ago, they had as their motto hand and mind. Basically, they wanted to emphasize doing practical things as well as intellectual ideas, and so they've had a long tradition of close ties with industry, and more recently, though, over the last 20 years or so, then they've created courses in entrepreneurship, and the number of companies founded each year has gone up.
And we're back to Hyperion because there are some prizes as well, which I think are given to the Faculty of Engineering. So again, is that all feeding into this idea that you need to encourage innovation?
Yes, it is. I think Hyperion was one of the early, very big entrepreneurial successes, and maybe not so well known in Cyprus. But it has been very successful, and so they would like to then pass on what they've learned to other companies and to create. Basically, it's the founder, Simeon Kassianides, who really believes in this idea.
Now, I think one of the things you're going to be talking about is success factors and how people can benefit from the lessons that others have learned, because that's so important. It cuts straight through, doesn't it? You don't have to go through all the things that other people or companies have gone through, because they've been there, made the mistakes, found the solution. How far does that sort of shortcutting help people, particularly again when we're in an economic crisis that probably needs to get things moving as fast as possible to get a return?
Right. It helps a lot because, before you embark on something, you need to believe that it can be successful. And so when you've seen successful examples, such as at MIT, then that provides the evidence that this can also happen other places. And it has. Around the U.S., there are many other, started at MIT, but then Silicon Valley has become very pronounced. And the same, you mentioned Israel as an example. So drawing on those successful examples just creates a role model that gives people confidence that things can be done. And they can also learn specific practical ideas as well.
And of course, what about Cyprus' geographical location? Because we do have the advantage, don't we, of being very close to markets in the Middle East and not so far from markets even in the Far East. Is that to our advantage? Is that where we should be looking?
I think absolutely. I think Cyprus is in a wonderful strategic location. But that's also a double-edged sword, because innovation kind of requires networking. In fact, the larger the network, the more stimulation of ideas you get, the better it will take place.
So, sorry to interrupt, should we therefore in some way be connected to some of these big things like MIT in terms of an exchange of ideas?
Sure, I think there should be. And they should find ways to form partnerships with some others who have also been successful, and also take advantage of the internet, because the world, whereas you used to have to be physically located, now you can be connected to, you can take a class in entrepreneurship at MIT online that you previously would not have been possible.
Yeah, that is absolutely amazing. And has that, as far as you know, seen, if you like, a burgeoning of young entrepreneurs, because it is so easy? I mean, you can video conference.
Sure.
You can be anywhere in the world in your living room, can't you, these days?
Yes, you can. And yes, it has created, I think that the whole growth in entrepreneurship around the world.
Well, I'm sure a lot of people with an eye on entrepreneurial things will be joining you tomorrow. I know it's taking place at 7 p.m. It's at Lecture Hall B108 at University House. That's Anastasios G. Leventis at the new university campus. Your chance to go and hear Lawrence B. Evans, Larry, as he asked me to call him, Emeritus Professor of Chemical Engineering at Massachusetts Institute of Technology and also founder of Aspen Technology, talking about fostering innovation with an impact. That's the important bit, isn't it? The MIT experience in creating entrepreneurial success. Larry, thank you very much indeed for joining me.
Thank you.